We talk a lot on this channel about the various characters returning in Ahsoka in August, but one I don't hype up enough is Chopper, a literal killing machine who masquerades as an astromech droid. Dave Filoni is no doubt again going to voice him. Now today we're going to talk about the state of Star Wars, and if recent projects have deviated too much from George Lucas, and why shows like Andor and Ahsoka provide hope to the fandom. We'll do this in the context of the latest news, which in this case includes comments made by Rosario Dawson, and near the end of the video, Dave Filoni as well, so make sure to stay tuned. So today we begin with an awesome comment made by Rosario Dawson at Filming Italy, Sardinia. In recent weeks and months, it's usually regarding the upcoming Ahsoka show, but this time, in addition to her usual comments where she shows and demonstrates her love and passion for this franchise, she also gave a massive shout out to Star Wars Andor, saying she's quote obsessed with that show. And it's really awesome because Ahsoka, the Mandalorian, the Book of Boba Fett, all of the things she stars in as live-action Ahsoka are so different to what Andor is and was in Season 1. It's really nice to hear she appreciates it. Now you could say she has to say this because of course she's working for Lucasfilm under Disney. It might look good that she says this, she may have been told to say glowing things, but she's also a very authentic person, so I don't necessarily think she said this out of obligation, but rather something she really enjoyed. She's a fan of a character not just in live-action in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett and now the Ahsoka show, but also what came before. Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka's voice in the Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels, but it's not just because she had to do it for homework, which of course was undoubtedly part of her preparation, but also because she's a fan. She simply loves Star Wars, way before she was even cast, and it seems that she understands what makes Star Wars special, and it's not just the lightsabers, the action sequences, it's just like what George said.
It's all about generations, and it's about the issues of fathers and sons and grandfathers, and it's a family soap opera. We call it space opera, but people don't realize it's actually a soap opera. And it's all about family problems and it's not about spaceships.
It's not about spaceships, but at the heart of it, at the heart of George Lucas's message, was the hero's journey and overcoming all the odds against the Empire, and Andor seems to have that magic in a very different way. The themes are there in terms of character growth, but Cassian is fundamentally a very different type of character to Luke or Anakin. He doesn't have the Force, so the storytelling, the narrative was not focused on what Tony Gilroy calls the Star Wars royal family, but the magic was still there. It's all an interconnected universe, and Tony Gilroy's Andor in particular really stood out. It was able to capture old Star Wars while moving it forward in a very meaningful direction, and that's something you can't say about every show. It still has to stay true to George Lucas's vision. I know some Star Wars fans say that doesn't matter, but I think it does. It's fine to explore new ideas, but you shouldn't deviate from the heart and soul of what Star Wars really is. And even me just saying that Andor feels like George Lucas' Star Wars is a bit controversial. Some fans didn't feel that way, but I felt the way the Empire was portrayed, the forces of fascism going back to the roots of the rebellion, all of that stuff feels in line with the build up to A New Hope, and in the style he would have done it in. And even a few weeks ago it came out that George Lucas loved Rogue One, so I think it follows he may have enjoyed Andor as well, although this is not confirmed. And the reason I'm being so vague with terms like the hero's journey, the themes of family, friendship, being the underdog, the struggle between good and evil, is because these things mean different things to very different fans, and that's why no two fans have the same opinions on pretty much anything in this franchise. But this is also one of the reasons that some are very worried about shows like The Acolyte, because doing something new and fresh doesn't always mean good. It can in the case of very well written stories like Andor, the heroism, self-discovery, and the growth of the main characters. And I think when it comes to The Acolytes, the main concerns are the comments made by Leslie Headland. I have deviated a little bit, but it's still important to have these conversations where we can look back on shows and assess them based on how they fit into this universe. Was the storytelling good? Was it compelling? And did it have a purpose? I think it did. Despite the amazing characters like Luthen, Claire Marquis, Mon Mothma, Cinta, Vel, Andor, it was the personification of the Empire at a time where we haven't seen much of the little guys, the rebellion growing from the ground up, from grassroots, from very dangerous and risky situations, built out of the message of hope, something we see a lot in the characters in Star Wars Andor Season 1, and given Rosario's knowledge and experience, not just as an actress but also as a Star Wars fan, she gets it. She seems to understand, just like many of us did, that what Gilroy did with Rogue One and now Andor is very, very special indeed. So, staying on the subject of Star Wars Ahsoka, but also deviating just a tad to talk about Dave Filoni's film. This is a very good question. Are we going to see Ahsoka in the film? I would say it's an absolute definite and 100% certainty. If the Disney Plus show in 2 months is going to set up the rise of Thrawn, the heir to the Empire as Ahsoka says in her own trailer, then this film is going to concern a major battle between our heroes and Thrawn and his many allies, and Ahsoka's going to be at the heart of that. Dave Filoni puts her in pretty much everything he does in live action. She appeared in the Mandalorian episode The Jedi, she appeared in the Book of Boba Fett episode 6. So of course, after her own show which is setting up this film in 2026, or at least that's the theory, I would go as far as to say Ahsoka is probably going to be one of the main characters, if not the main character, and I think Rosario Dawson knows this. If you think back to a couple of days ago, she said she wants to do more with the character, whether that means a second season of Ahsoka or the Dave Filoni film, she can't say explicitly, but she does want to do more. And she will, as much as is physically doable. I do think we're going to see Ahsoka as the forefront of this franchise for a very long time, in anything concerning the Mandoverse. I don't know if she's going to appear in something like Skeleton Crew, but think back to just a few months ago, that was a legit rumour. And in recent interviews for the upcoming Ahsoka show, Rosario Dawson cannot stop praising Dave, and you can understand that. He's given us so much as fans, and I also just want to highlight in the Total Film exclusive the other day, appropriately titled Return of the Ex-Jedi, they speak about the importance of fan service, and if there's any show to give us that, I think it's going to be Ahsoka. And of all the live action shows I've covered on the channel when it comes to Star Wars news updates, in the 3 years I've been doing YouTube, so since 2020, that's The Mandalorian Season 2, Kenobi, Andor, Book of Boba Fett, I've never seen this many legit rumours with a capital L from really reliable sources. Take for example the Book of Boba Fett, we did have a few that panned out, others that didn't, but with Ahsoka they all seem to be coming from more reliable sources, whether it's the young Ahsoka rumours, the Mustafar sequence, the world between worlds. There were rumours very early on about Barriss Sophie, Quinlan Vos, Grogu. Dave Filoni wants to give fans what they love, and it really showed at Star Wars Celebration this year. I was there here in London back in April. He broke down, he got so emotional thanking everyone. He said from anyone who's here wearing a t-shirt, just a Star Wars t-shirt to show their love for the franchise, to those who spend thousands on cosplays, demonstrating their passion creatively in many ways, he thanks everyone, and I get the feeling that along with Disney XD, he never expected Star Wars Rebels to get as big as it did, and now it's huge. The impact on the show on The Mandalorian with the Darksaber with big and small plot points to the Ahsoka show and Dave's film, us Star Wars Rebels fans who've been there from the start are really eating well, as the kids say. And so going back to the point, you can really understand where Rosario's coming from, why she really reveres the man for what he's done. She was there on set, so in a way, she gets the first-hand experience of George Lucas's apprentice, as we like to call him. She got to hear his creative decisions, his process, his justifications, especially for things that at first glance don't make too much sense. He imparted some wisdom and his vision for the show, with all the main actors, but in particular Rosario. Here is her quote: "I really marvel at Dave's journey, and I'm so happy for him and proud of him. I've loved him as a fan, and now, having had the chance to be on set with him daily and work with him, and pick his brain, and here's the big bit, and him being my own personal encyclopedia for everything Star Wars and beyond, it's just been a marvel." And another interesting thing about this upcoming show that many of you guys picked up on is despite his work on Mando, despite his work on Boba, this is his first entire live action show, one that he alone wrote. There are other directors, but Dave is the one responsible for the writing of the story. And I do predict we're in for a treat, but share your thoughts on everything we spoke about in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video guys, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and if you want more videos that you can't find here on YouTube, then click the link down there in the description. But until the next one guys, may the Force be with you, always.